May it be your will, God, my God, and the God of my ancestors, that you guide my eyes with the light of your Torah and save me from stumbling and making mistakes. For God gives wisdom, and from God's mouth comes knowledge and understanding. Amen.
We have, in fact, last week's Parashat Pinhas and this week's Mattot and Messei. They are two parashah in one. So we have three parashiot that we will be looking at least in the summary, and then we will decide what to focus on.
Pinhas is rewarded with a peace and eternal priesthood for killing the Israelite and the Midianite women. Israel is instructed to fight a war against the Midianites. A second census taken on the Canaanite land that would be won in the future was to be distributed as per the listed names. The daughters of Zelophehad request to receive a property inheritance since they lost their father Aaron and did not have a brother. Hashem accepts their request and makes it a law that in the absence of brothers, the women would inherit their ancestral property. Moshe is asked to ascend Mount Abarim, to see the promised land, and he would not be allowed into, and he requests Hashem to select a leader for the people. Joshua is chosen to be Moses' successor. The sacrificial rituals for daily sacrifices, Shabbats, Rosh Chodesh, and all festival occasions is described in detail. So Moses said to Israel's officials, each of you slay those of his men who attach themselves to Baal Peor. Just then one of the Israelites came and brought a Midianite woman over to his companions in the sight of Moses and of the whole Israelite community, who were weeping at the entrance of the tent of meeting. When Pinhas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, saw this, he left the assembly and, taking a spear in his hand, he followed the Israelite into the chamber and stabbed both of them, the Israelite and the woman, through the belly. Then the plague against the Israelites was checked. Those who died of the plague numbered 24.
What you read just now, earlier also, was from Parashat before Pinhas, which was Parashat Balak. The end of Parashat Balak has this story. So there is a little confusion. I was not there to check, and not only the summary was sent to you, the whole reference material which we had discussed, which we need to discuss to understand Parashat Pinhas, was also read by you. So let us just take a. So the sacrificial rituals for the daily sacrifices is where the material for Pinhas ends. Okay. So I was also a little confused what is happening. But if you will remember 2 weeks ago, this was the end, what happened. The prince from the Israelite people, if we just go back quickly so that we can have everything in line, we know that in Parashat Balak, right, we have Bilam who comes to curse Israel, but is unable to curse Israel and blesses Israel. But while he is going, he informs the king Balak what should be the strategy to bring Israel down. And the strategy he suggested was to use ladies to snare Jewish people, that they will make relationship with them, and there is a certain relationship between this kind of what is the word? I don't want to use the word boring, but licentiousness and avodah zarah and worshipping idols. Maybe we could even discuss what could be the connecting point between these two very different looking ideas, right? But I believe we have discussed it in one of our earlier classes, so I won't spend more time on it. But this licentiousness leads to one fellow bringing a Midianite princess into the Jewish camp, and that's when Pinhas kills both of them. And then Pinhas is in fact praised and given a certain covenant of peace for what he did, because he stopped the Israelites from being punished by his action. So we need to look at that. And from there, the parasha starts. And we said that finally the parasha comes up to the sacrificial rituals. So if you have any questions in this parasha, just tell me what you would like me to focus on, and then we'll move on to the other two parashiot, and let's see what ideas you all are thinking about, and if you have any questions. So let's one at a time. Let's talk about Parashat Pinhas. If anybody has studied it and have some questions regarding it, you should have some serious questions, But one thing at a time. Let us just take the questions if you have any, or
Summary Mattot. Moses conveys the law governing vows and their annulment to the heads of the tribes of Israel. War is waged against Midian for their role in plotting the moral destruction of Israel. The Torah gives a detailed instruction regarding defilement from death, the metallic war spoils, and its purification, and the body of captured humans and animals, and how they were allocated amongst the people, the warriors, the Levites, and the high priest. The tribes of Reuben and Gad asked for the land east of the Jordan as their portion in the promised land, these being prime pasture land for their cattle. Moses is initially angered by the request, but subsequently agrees to the condition that they first join and lead in Israel's conquest in the land west of the Jordan, and also joins the half of the tribe of Manasseh to share in the portion in the east of the Jordan. Summary Messei. The itinerary of the Israelites through the wilderness from Egypt to the plains of Moab, across the river Jordan, 42 journeys and encampments of Israel are listed. Moses tells Israel to remove the current inhabitants of the land that God will give them and to destroy their gods. The boundaries of the land of Israel are defined, along with those of the Levitical cities, and the cities of refuge are designated as heavens and places of exile for inadvertent murderers. God makes a precise distinction between murder and manslaughter. The laws of inheritance as they apply to Israelite women are delineated. The daughters of Zelophehad marry within their own tribe of Manasseh, so that the estate which they inherit from their father should not pass to the province of another tribe.
The book of Bamidbar, the fourth book, is really the last book of the Torah. We are at the entry point to Israel. Moshe Rabbeinu is asked to retire. We just read that Yehoshua was selected to be the leader. So what is the book of Devarim really? The book of Devarim is an additional book that Moshe Rabbeinu gave. So from the creation of the world till the eve of entering into the land of Israel is in the book of Devarim. So really, Devarim is the final book of the history, of the story of what is happening. And then Moshe's retelling of the story is the book of Devarim. I mean, Bamidbar is the final book. Devarim is the retelling of the story, and Moshe's he repeats the 10 commandments. There is another covenant that the second generation takes up with Moshe before entering the land of Israel. All that comes in the book of Devarim. And there is a retelling of the whole history again, where we fell short and what was expected from us. But Bamidbar, at this point in time, is where the story of Moshe's leadership comes to a conclusion. Okay. So these three parashiot, we see in Parashat before Pinhas, right? End of Balak, Aharon passes away, Miriam passes away, and Moshe is now planning. Moshe has been told to go and see the land because he won't be able to enter the land. He is aware he won't be able to enter the land. And he is then requesting for a change in leadership, right? It's such a beautiful thing that Moshe Rabbeinu requests from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and maybe I should read it out from the original text, what Moshe requests. I am reading in Parashat Pinhas, chapter 27, verse 15. Moses spoke to Hashem, saying, May Hashem, God of the spirit of all flesh, appoint a man over the assembly, who shall go out before them and come in before them, who shall take them out and bring them in. And let the assembly of Hashem not be like sheep that have no shepherd. Hashem said to Moses, Take to yourself Yehoshua son of Nun, a man in whom there is spirit, and lean your hand upon him. You shall stand him before Elazar, the Kohen, and before the entire assembly, and command him before their eyes. You shall place some of your majesty upon him, so that the entire assembly of the children of Israel will pay heed. Before Elazar the Kohen shall he stand, who shall inquire for him of the judgment of the Urim before Hashem. At his word shall they go out, and at his word shall they come in, he and all the children of Israel with him, and the entire assembly. Moses did as Hashem had commanded him. He took Yehoshua and stood him before Elazar, the Kohen, the priest, and before the entire assembly. He leaned his hands upon him and commanded him as Hashem had spoken through Moses. So there you are, Moses' final role as transferring of power to Yehoshua. So this is the final aspect of Moses' leadership. And what are the stories that Moses brings into this particular book? I believe is a gist of what Torah has to be all about. Okay? If we take a bird's eye view of what is being discussed in this parashiot, it is just phenomenal material how to live with Torah as our bastion, as our lighthouse. Let us focus on a few different concepts that are being discussed over here. I would say the first concept is anger. Pinhas is rewarded for his anger. Believe it or not. Isn't he? He is rewarded for his anger. So let's go back a few steps and see what happens. Really, the leadership is in a fix. Bilam has made such a suggestion that sort of lures the basic instincts of Am Israel, that they are bringing these ladies and worshipping Baal. Let us see from the end of Parashat Balak. We'll go a little earlier. Israel settled in the Shittim, and people began to commit harlotry with the daughters of Moab. They invited the people to feast of their gods. So, you see, anybody can make a relationship. They were committing harlotry. They were having illicit relationship with these ladies from, and who are these ladies? Daughters of Moab. Yeah. And these ladies then invited the people to feast of their gods. And the people ate and prostrated themselves to their gods. Israel became attached to Baal Peor, and the wrath of Hashem flared against. So this is the scenario. Now this scenario really is a reflection, or sort of a mirror reflection of something that has happened in the history of Am Israel. Who would be able to tell me why is it a mirror reflection of something that has already happened with Am Israel? It is idol worship, right? When did Israel worship idols? Did Israel ever worship idols? No? Be sure your answers. Unmute yourself and tell me, did Israel ever worship idols?
No, but when Moshe had gone on the hill, that time they worshipped that lamb,
Golden calf.
Golden calf.
golden cow.
It was a cow. Yeah, not a lamb.
Yes,
Right. So they did worship idol. Not idols,
Yes.
but idol. Right?
idol.
And what does it say over there? They worship that idol, and then what does it say?
That I don't know.
Anybody can recollect? We go back, Parashat Yitro, and quickly tell me what happens. They worship the idol, and then what is their next step? What happens? What do you think? Just imagine what could have happened.
They punished, no?
I couldn't hear you. What are you saying?
ויקומו לצחק.
Oh, which means what?
It means that they went doing, איך אומרים, הוללות, I don't know how to say it in English. Going
They
with
were
the
licentious. That's what you're trying to say. The word in English is licentious. The word in English is licentious. Men and women started having fun together.
Yeah.
They danced together. They had relationship, right? Without any.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a traditional take on the word lesachet from different things. When it says about Yitzchak, he was with his wife, and the king Abimelech saw him with his wife when he had said that she was my sister, and he was lesachek with her. So in Hebrew, lesachek is a euphemism to have sexual indulgence, right? And that's why other places also you will see that lesachek is interpreted to be licentious. So over there is Avodah Zarah. Over there is Avodah Zarah, and then licentiousness, because of which they could not be controlled. That's how it goes on. And over here, it is a mirror image. It is licentiousness and Avodah Zarah. So we have really discussed this in detail, but if anybody doesn't remember, what is the relationship between this sexual conduct and Avodah Zarah? What is the connect from a Jewish point of view? Why do they go together? when you are having adultery, when a person is indulging in adultery, what exactly is his sin? When you are in a relationship, marriage, right? What is expected of you? What does the idea of
Loyalty.
marriage? Loyalty, right? So you are loyal to your wife, your partner. Your partner is loyal to you. The minute there is encroachment on this loyalty, that you are abusing that trust, correct? And you are allowing a different partner in the relationship, in the institution. That minute, what you're doing is you committing a sin against that partner. That is the idea of a marriage, a kiddushin, right? Now, with Hashem also we have a certain loyalty. Hashem demands that loyalty from us, that I will be your God and you will not have any other gods before me. And the minute a person commits avodah zarah, it is exactly like having a relationship outside of your, how do you say, outside of the wedlock. Yeah. It is about loyalty. Both these things are about loyalty.
It is
Now, what needs
betraying.
to be understood is, yeah, somebody wanted to say something?
It is betraying the partner.
Betraying, yes. So you are betraying, it is in a way, and all the time all the prophets are talking about how Israel betrayed God by going again astray behind idols. And that exactly is the imagery, image of being loyal in a wedlock that the different Nevi'im use, prophets use. Now coming back to, in fact, with Israel, the idea of marriage is a kiddushin, from the word kadosh. Kadosh is a word which is reserved for God. Only God is kadosh, and we have to emulate God, and we have to be kadosh. But marriage is a kiddushin. A woman is mekadesh. She is sanctified to a husband. This is the same concept where Israel takes, in Torah language, takes a relationship which is a physical relationship and elevates it to a totally different level, where it can basically, mirror, or it parallels the relationship between God and a human being. And that's why Shira Shirim, a love song, says it is a book about Kodesh HaKodeshim. It is a love song, but that love is about passion and love and everything. That, how can it be related with my relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So there is a certain take about taking our base instincts and elevating them to make them channelized to just one partner. And that same concept is about our emunah, our faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be the same. Anyway, that reflection, whatever it may, other facets it may have, in the basic sense, Bil'am suggested that he uses that to break our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He uses that licentiousness to break our connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu obviously gets angry, and he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, the solution to this problem is, you go to your the Midrash say, they were talking about Moshe. Who is your wife? Is she a Jew? No, you have married a Moabite, so fine, I will also bring a Moabite. And that's why he brings or Midianite, sorry. And he brings a Midianite woman too. sort of challenged Moshe Rabbeinu. If you can marry a Midianite, why can't I? Right? Who decided? That kind of thing. But that is all midrash, trying to play off on the very delicate situation existing at that point in time between the leadership and Moshe Rabbeinu. So Moshe Rabbeinu cannot stop these people, but if you come to the end of Parashat Balak, you will see that Moshe Rabbeinu has suggested a solution. Hashem tells him what to do. Hashem said to Moses, take all the leaders of the people, hang them before Hashem against the sun, and the flaring wrath of Hashem will withdraw from Israel. So there is a solution. You go, pick up the leaders who are committing the crime, behead them, hang them up. Yeah. Moses said to the judges of Israel, let each man kill his men who were attached to Baal Peor. Moses goes to the judges and says, okay, take the leaders and hang them. Who is going to do it? Who's going to take such a step? There will be anarchy over there. All the leadership, if they are hanged, right? Who's going to bail the cat, sort of? So there is this very much paralysis in a situation where Moshe is expecting these people to hang their own leadership. Would it happen? It wouldn't happen. In such a situation, this guy, Pinhas, son of Elazar, when I said this guy is Zimri ben Salu, that was his name. The name of the slain Israelite man who was slain with the Midianite woman was Zimri, son of Salu, and the woman's name was Cosbi, daughter of Sur. They two come together. How you go on? Pinhas kills them and sort of on the spear he hangs them. He shows the spear like what is expected. You hang them in front of the sun that everybody is out to show. He pierces that and hangs them. And he does what is expected from all the leadership. The other leadership were not killed, but because of his action, the plague stopped. So here you see anger in Pinhas, but channelized in the right way. Torah gives credit. Now, what do you understand from such a thing? How can anger, which is always to be, controlled and sort of, we have to run away from it. How can anger be one of the plus points of Am Yisrael? Any ideas?
Today I just spoke about it with someone. Anger, like when we have been merciful and kind, and the same way we are in the opposite way. When anger is the tool of the sitra, of the tzad the yetzer hara. So when it's part of us, it's part of our body. And if we take this good and bad and use it to a good thing, like Pinhas did, that he channeled it in the right way, then it's not, anger is not a bad thing. There is anger like in At Hashem, if you do it right, you can lead it into do something good for Hashem. But if you lose control and you just get angry and you do bad things and you go after the sitra, going into the being a bad person, then you cannot use it in the right way. But it's part of you. It's part of us. And if you use it in the right way, like joining hands together and doing something good with it, because it's a power. It's an energy. It's something that we can use for good. So that's what he did here. That's how I see it.
Nice. So we see that an emotion channelizes our energies. Anger is a channelizing of passion, something that I really care for. I said when do I get angry? Let us analyze that for 2 minutes. When does a person get angry? Normally, when do you get angry? The last time everybody got angry, just pinpoint. Last time when you got angry, I want you all to look into yourself. Last time you got angry, when was it? You remember it? Can everybody remember the last time they got angry?
When something goes
I
extremely
get angry so often that I can't even remember. But otherwise, if you can pinpoint when was the last time you get angry, I want you all to first look at that. Last time you got angry. What made you angry? 99% of the time, what made you angry was something that you have decided that this is how it should be, and something went against your will. Is that correct?
Yes.
Anybody,
Absolutely.
it didn't happen with like that, raise your hands.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it is not against your will, right? If it is not against your will and you got angry, that is very rare. Okay. But in this case, the anger, when you say you're angry, you have to integrate Hakadosh Baruch Hu's will. It is not my will that was transgressed and that's why I got angry. Pinhas is not fighting for his will. Oh, I don't like this and he got angry. He is fighting for Hakadosh Baruch Hu's will. Hakadosh Baruch Hu's will is to make this leadership hanged up over there, and somebody went against it, and he is not thinking about what will be the consequences if he goes against the leadership. He is just thinking, Arey, this is Hashem's will and you went against Hashem's will. That makes him angry. So you see how that channelizing of anger. So when we say anger, it really moves from our emotion. Our emotion is connected with our egos. When our egos are hurt, we get angry. But Pinhas, there is a difference. His ego is Hashem's will. Once you make your will Hashem's will, and then that is what is the reason for your anger, then there is some kind of different energy and different movement in that anger. There is some redemptive power in that anger. Otherwise, anger is useless. Otherwise, anger has to be banned. You cannot even come near to it, because anger is avodah zarah. You are just worshipping yourself. So this is the dynamic of anger. Anger means that you are worshipping yourself. Every time you get angry, don't ever think that you are thinking like Pinhas, because it is very difficult to integrate somebody else's will to be your will. If you do that, see, a lot of religions do think that they are making their communal will their will, but that is nonsense. Even then, when you make your communal will, you want to say Allahu Akbar, or you want to say I don't know, whatever whatever God's name you take, and you're killing for that God and making mods for that God, or whatever it may be. That will really is not, you are not making his will your will. You are really making your will his will, which is different. Let me explain how. When I want to attach with an idea, I want to be like Am Israel. What am I really doing? When I understand that Am Israel is intelligent people, I understand that Am Israel are all Nobel laureates. 80% Nobel laureates come from Am Israel. When I understand Am Israel in all this crisis is doing very good monetarily, right? So I want to be, I am a part of Am Israel. Now what did I do? I connected with the people of Israel because I wanted to inflate my ego. When I am feeling very lonely and alone, I connect with some ideas which are of a bigger religion, bigger people, and I connect with these ideas. And I say, I would like to be XYZ religion. Why? Not because I want to make my small ego nothing. I want to inflate my ego using those ideas. There is a difference, very huge difference. Am Israel, Torah tells you, you have to do the other way around. You have to annihilate your ego. You start thinking that you are too proud and too good and too too close to God because you are you. That is the wrong way of going. That way, you can never ever get angry for the reason. Am I being clear? Because you just pumped yourself by all the theology that comes through Judaism. You just made yourself so important, right? If you became important, then your ego is what is going to the fuel that is coming for your energy comes from your believing that, oh, you are something special. I am the promised. I am the selected people. I am the firstborn of God, or whatever you can feed yourself. And out of that, if you get angry for God and for His name, all that is you. You just inflated yourself, and now you are doing avodah zarah. That is how Hakamim understand. So for you to really integrate God's will is to make yourself nullified and totally zero, and His will is your will. And when that happens, that is a very different tour psychologically. When that is happening, you are not there. Your presence or your interest, even as related with God's interest, are not there. You are not existing. Only then that works. And that anger, for example, Eliyahu Hanavi, for example, Pinhas, they were people who didn't have, Moshe Rabbeinu also, they didn't have their personal egos. They were doing the same thing. In fact, when Moshe Rabbeinu hit the rock, instead of speaking to the people, right, he was very, I mean, his ego was not the one which was talking. He was totally there for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They were speaking against God, and that was getting him where he was hitting the rock. It was not him. That he does say that we will do this for you, but it is we means Hashem and him together. They are partners. That is the we will do it for you. Okay, so even that he is punished and he is unable to enter the land of Israel. But you will see the thrust of understanding Pinhas's action is very different than any other anger. Okay, anger where ego is involved cannot work. If the your ego is annulled, ego is non-existing, then there is only passion remaining. Whatever is that energy flow doesn't happen through your ego. It is just pure passion, and that is what you see in this story. There is pure passion. But the point is, in human relationships, our mind has the ability to channelize this passion, this energy of anger. As Regina rightly said, this is just an energy, pure energy. If it is channelized through your ego, it becomes anger. But if it is channelized through your system without the ego, then it remains on a different plane. It is passion. We'll call it passion. Okay? And then it works positively. So the first step I will say is, first example that Moshe Rabbeinu brings in this conclusion of the book, of his 4 books, right, is how to act in a situation where you have to channelize this energy for the betterment of your society. Okay, that is one. Then we'll come to the next episode.
Joshua, can I just say something?
100%. Go ahead. I need you to say something. Yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
No, I mean, I think the use of the word anger here is wrong. Because it doesn't necessarily have to be that he was angry. Moses had just told all of them that God had asked the leaders, the judges, to slay all those who behaved this way. So Pinchas was just carrying out the order.
Right.
He was just simply carrying out the order of God. He had no, his own emotions, his own thinking didn't come into the matter at all. It was an order given by God which had to be carried out. That's it.
Yeah,
According
but
to
it
him.
doesn't say anger. At least I
It
don't know.
doesn't say anger anywhere in the portion. Yes.
No, it doesn't say anger. Yeah, it always says my vengeance. It
It is
is
just an
Kanno
order that had to be
itkinati.
carried out.
Kanno itkinati, avenged my vengeance zealously. So that zeal is what the Torah brings about. But we are using anger because that is what we understand. That is what happens, right? Because our understanding is from our experiences, right? So the Torah never calls it anger, but it is a kind of anger where yourself is not existing. Okay? So you're right. Their anger is not the right word. Thanks. So from Parashat Pinhas, so Parashat Pinhas takes Pinhas and makes him gives him the Brit Shalom. That is a special covenant he had of peace. And it is very difficult to understand. A lot of different commentators have mentioned what was this Brit Shalom. So one accepted idea according to the Gemara is that Pinhas was not supposed to be a priest. He was born earlier, and only 4 sons of only the sons who will be born to Elazar after he was initiated as the priest would have become a priest. Okay, the Aaron and Elazar went into the tent. They were inside for 40 days, right? Before they initiated the temple service, right? And then Rosh Chodesh Nisan, they did the sacrifice, and in fact, the 2 sons died, Nadav and Abihu. So at that point, our oral tradition says that Pinhas was already a youngster then. So Pinhas was not a part of the group that went into. I don't know. I personally think that he was. And this Brit Shalom was something else. It's not making him a priest. But I have the oral tradition says that no. Pinhas was already born, and only those who were born later would have become priests. And that's why this special covenant made him a priest, whatever it may be. But he is rewarded for his action. I wanted to underline the Brit Shalom by saying that there is, when between a husband and a wife, there is peace. There is Shalom Bayit, right? Whenever there is between a couple, if there is conflict and then you work it out, there is Shalom Bayit. Similarly, there is something between Am Israel and HaKadosh Baruch Hu that went wrong because of their actions on a physical level. And he was able to restore that peace. So like there is Shalom Bayit between husband and wife. The Hebrew word Shalom Bayit is making peace between the house, right? Similarly, his was making peace between Am Israel and God. That was what his action allowed him to do. And that's why there was a breath of Shalom given to him. That Shalom, in a sense, is Shlemut, completeness. Shalom is harmony also. Okay? So harmonizing that relationship which had strained between God and man and Am Israel was what he achieved to harmonize. Okay, coming next. So they are about to make war. Now this is also a little for me, not only for me, but from who were these daughters who came and prostituted and lured Am Israel? Who were these ladies? What does the Torah say? Parashat Balak. Start of Parashat Balak. If you will remember, I've even spoken about this, right? Balak was a king of Moab, right? But he was a Midiani king, it seems like, because he sends his messengers to his home place, which is in Midian, to bring Bilam. So he is a Midiani who is ruling over Moab. If you know Moab, whose son was Moab? Moab was Lot's son. Lot's daughter had relationship with him, and through incest, right, he had two sons from two daughters, Ammon and Moab. Okay, so Moab is Lot's progeny. Lot is Abraham Avinu's nephew. Okay, ruling over these people of Moab is a Midianite king. Midian is one of Abraham Avinu's sons from Keturah. This Midianite king takes advice from Bilam and sends his prostitutes. So what does it say? End of the story. Parashat Balak. Israel settled in Shittim, and the people began to commit harlotry with the daughters of Moab. Daughters of Moab. Moab, as in the sons of, children of Lot. Okay. But this Cosby lady was from the princesses of Midian. Cosby was princess of Midian. Now, see what happens next. There is a count of all the armies, and Moshe is asked to select 1,000 from each tribe to send for war. And we are now in Parashat Mattot. Hashem spoke to Moses saying, I'm chapter 31. Take vengeance for the children of Israel against the Midianites. Midian, who is this lady? Cosby was from Midian. Afterwards, you will be gathered unto your people. Moses spoke to the people, arm men from among yourself for the legion that they may be against Midian, to inflict Hashem's vengeance against Midian. Hold on. But there were Moabite women who came in, lured these people, brought them to Baal Peor, and made them worship their god. Baal is the Moabite god. Suddenly, Hashem is asking Moshe to go and clear Midian. And it is his last war. And this must be so difficult for Moshe Rabbeinu, because his father-in-law is a Midianite, his wife is a Midianite, and he has to make war against Midian. And what is Midian? This lady comes from Midian. And that fellow, Bilam, was a Midianite. He came and advised. And Moshe Rabbeinu very clearly says these are Midianite women who later on, after the war, they bring the loot. And in the loot, they bring women also. So they kill all the male, and like in every war, they don't kill the woman. Moshe Rabbeinu says, what? How could you do this? These women are the ones responsible for making people go against Baal Peor. So finish all these women. All those women who are married, who have not been with a man, only them you have to save. Everybody else, kill them. Which means the Midianite woman had a very important role in this business of luring Am Israel. So why are Moab? In fact, later on you will see in Deuteronomy, Moshe Rabbeinu tells us the story, and he says, we were instructed not to make war with Moab because Moab is descendants of Lot, and Hashem doesn't want you to make war with Lot. But about Moab's decision, weren't they responsible directly to make us fall? So what do you think? What is happening over here? Now let me ask Regina. Regina, you have an answer? Nobody has an answer. You can't answer this.
Oh,
I also don't have an answer.
read the question again because you were talking about Mattot, so I read a little bit. What is the question?
Moabite woman came and
Ah.
lured the Am Israel into Zenuth. Moabite woman. There is
Yeah.
only one woman who is a Midianite. The Cosby woman is a Midianite. She was bought by Zalus, whatever.
I heard a Midian.
Zalu,
I heard a
right?
Midian that says that Balak himself was from Midian.
He was.
Midian.
So Balak was from Midian. Fine. But what
And Moab,
about the Moabite woman? It says very clearly it was the Moabite woman who did
Yeah.
Zenuth. So
But-
why is
but-
only Midian being punished?
because Hashem told us not to fight with Moab
So what
because
Hashem is taking sides? Why is
He's-
Hashem taking sides? That
because
is the question we are asking. No, I know Hashem said, but why? If you
Yeah.
want to kill Midian, also Moab is responsible. Kill Moab. That is
they-
justice. How can you say don't kill Moab, kill Midian? And if you do Hashem does that, then we have to find out why.
when we have a fight in the family, yeah, and someone from outside comes and he fights with us for one of the members of the family, we all jump on him, also Moab. all the members jump on him. What are you coming in intrude between us? It's a fight in the family. You should not be inside. It's also just the same.
So it is okay for those, okay for daughters of Moab to lure Am Israel.
Moab,
It is okay. It is like family.
us.
We can make sins with them.
This is in the
Is that
family.
what you're saying?
But
That is
Balak,
what comes out from your answer. That
But
it is a
Balak-
fight between family. Yes, Moab is family with us, but Midian is also family with us. Moab is in fact Abraham's. Midian was also Abraham's sons.
but
Midian is
after,
not foreigners.
but
And
they say,
Lot, in fact, is further away.
yeah,
You
but,
tell me, how close are we to Lot? Are we more closer to Lot
but
or
if you
to Midian?
if you read later, you see that Tzur, he was killed in Midian. And Tzur was Balak.
That is Midrash. Nobody knows that. They have to say that because Balak had to be killed somewhere.
Balak
That's
ben
how I
Zippor.
understand.
Balak ben
How can you make
Zippor.
war? How can you make war and not kill Balak? So when they say Tzur, it has to be Balak. That is how you have to understand. I understand it like that because otherwise, where is Balak being killed? You have Bilam being killed mentioned, and Balak not mentioned. So it has to be Tzur.
Or Achai
Forget that. That has nothing to do with my question. My question is, there is a certain problem with what happened. Hashem says in Devarim, don't make war with Moab, but with the Midian, both of them are in this game together in luring Am Israel. They were Moabite woman and they were Midianite woman. But Hashem brings his anger on Midian. So why doesn't he bring it on Moab? So in my humble opinion, there is one simple reason. You are very close to it when you are saying you are one family, but it is not because you are a family.
I
I
know
don't
from
think
the
that-
Midrash, from the
Listen now,
Midrash,
listen,
I know why, but
listen, we are not having one-on-one talk. We are just trying to give a class over here. Hold on. Yeah. So there you are. In a situation where you have somebody who feels Moab feels, what is the word, insecure because of Am Israel. Out of his insecurity, he uses a device suggested by Bilam. But what are his intentions? Why is he using this device? What is his plan? He wants to save his save his nation, right?
Mhm.
Balak wants to save his nation by hook or by crook. A king's role is to save his nation. It is his prerogative to find whatever means possible. There is no rules in politics. His first and prime role as a king is to see to the preservation of his people. Is that right or wrong?
Yeah, of course.
Who cares if you are God's people? My people are my first and foremost priority. I cannot say because you are God's people, I can allow my people to be slaughtered by you. Can I? Can Balak say that? No. From Balak's point of view, he was doing the right thing. And because Balak did the right thing, he is trying to find ways and means to help his own people. That is a king's role. And when a king is doing whatever it takes to prevent his people from being killed, it is valid. You cannot say that they have sinned. But who is the ones who have sinned?
The ones who are not supposed
Moabite. Moab's role, there was nothing to do with Moab. Moab wanted to just use, the hot to whatever, cook their thing in the hot plate ready. The Midian, sorry, not Moab. Moab had a certain what is the word, justification for whatever it did. But Midian has no justification. Bilam had no business coming over here. That's why that angel stood in front of him. He did not need to get involved in this. He came over there because of lure of power and money or whatever it may be. And even after being informed in prophecy that this is a wrong path, he still suggested to them that you take this route to. But when the king Balak takes that route, he is doing the right thing. From his point of view, he is doing the right thing. It is his role. So Hashem cannot judge him. Hashem doesn't go against him. Who will he judge? Those who are not involved in this thing. Why is Midian involved in this war? Why did Midian lure these people to bring them to Avodah Zarah? There was something more in Bilam's plan, which we don't see over here. But Bilam's plan has to do with reconstructing that same problem that happened with Am Israel when they worshipped the golden calf. And that's why he brings zenut, licentiousness, to bring Am Israel down. And they had we were not attacking them. We were not even near that country. They had no business. Midian was already out. There was some Midian interest in Moab. And that's why these Midianites also sort of jumped on the wagon, right? But because they did, they had no business getting involved with Am Israel, so they are fried. That is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu's justice works. It looks to me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't go against, and I don't think Balak was even killed, because Balak doesn't need to be killed. He did the right thing as a king.
No, he was killing in Midian, not in Moab.
You have to say that Balak was killed by saying that Balak's name is something else. Otherwise, where do you have proof that Balak was killed? You don't have any proof.
Only from Or HaChaim HaKadosh, that he said the Tzur.
So he has to say that, but if I say my way of looking at it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not punishing him for something he is doing right. He is trying to save his people. Is that the right thing for a king to do? Yes. So he will get zekut for it. He is going to get points for it.
Once he gets
the way he takes is wrong, but then politics is all about being a nasty person, isn't it? Why does one become a politician? If not because he is attracted to being the worst possible uh, human being on the planet. That's why people become politicians. That's unfortunate, but that's why kings are kings. They like killing people and they like power, and they go for a ride because that is what interests them. But once they are in that role, then they have a responsibility, and he was fulfilling his responsibility. So there you see another way that Hakadosh Baruch Hu shows us how his justice works. We have to look between the lines to really, at least I think, to be an unbiased viewer of what is exactly happening over here. Because I see a lot of Midrashim will jump and say, oh, these names have to be changed so that we know that even Balak was killed, and Bila, it was Moab, and it was Midian. Moab was also killed. It was only Midian they spoke about, but Moab was also killed. No, Moab was not killed because Moab was doing whatever is rightfully, at least in my humble opinion. I don't know. But Torah goes out of its way to only mention Midian. So both of them did the wrong task of harloting with Am Israel, but somebody had unnecessarily got into the soup, sort of. Anyway, how are we doing on time? Oh wow, 8:39. We have 15 minutes more. So one more idea that I would like to really discuss. Two more ideas really. We spoke about anger. We spoke about responsibility, right? In the light of a king's responsibility, I think that's why there are two ways of looking at two different people, Midian and Moab. And we are talking about divine justice over here, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu asks Am Israel to go and avenge what the Midianites did. Coming to a third idea, the daughters of Slofchad. The daughters of Slofchad have a certain personal interest. Their personal interest is that they get land, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Their personal interest is when all the males are going to get land, they are also going to get land. They will get married to some other fellow and they will get land, right? So why go out of their way to ask land for their father's house? Because principally speaking, their father left Egypt. He doesn't have a family, but his line should be represented, right? So when these women are asking for something which is to some extent personal, it is an interest, a personal interest involved in gaining land. They will have gained land if they would have married to somebody who obviously would have been a male who would have gained land, right? So these 5 daughters of Slofchad ask land for their father's name, so that their father's name will be preserved, right? Now think about it. This is personal gain with a spin. What do you mean my father's name will be preserved? You will get married any which ways. And how will your father's name will be preserved? This land, how will you retain this land as your father's land? So the solution comes in the end of the book of Bamidbar, where the tribe comes and asks, okay, our land is now going to go to somebody else if these daughters get married. So what do we do? So the solution is that ask them to marry their cousins, right? Or in the tribe, they marry their cousins. That's what the Torah says. But coming to their question, what was HaKadosh Baruch Hu's response when they asked something which was to some extent, colored in personal gain? There is a spin on saving my father's house, and maybe they are virtuous about, passionately saving their father's house. They really love their father and they want his name to be, sort of inherit land in his name, right? As a heritage. Could be. Yeah. What is Torah's take when something like this happens?
The Torah
Hashem
says
gives it.
we should
Hashem
make
gives it.
them-
Hashem says they are righteous. They are right. They should. You should give them land. I mean, hold on. There was a whole patriarchal society over here. There is a whole system working over here. You start giving land to women, that whole system is going to crumble. And not only them, any girl who doesn't have any brothers, she will inherit her property. That is property law in Israel. Her father's land will become hers. Okay. So it is not only for them like an exception, but it is a rule brought by HaKadosh Baruch Hu by the virtue of these ladies, because they came and asked their rights. I think this is a precedent for a lot of feminism, by the way, in Torah. Feminists should come and ask the rabbis for their rights, and the rabbis have to think it out when and how they have to start including ladies in a minyan, for example. I am not inclined to take a call on it, but if daughters of Slopkat could fight for their father's name, each woman should fight for her name. Come and ask rabbis, why not? How do you know? Where is the precedent? They can push, because Torah has some precedent for them to lean on. We don't have enough women fighting for their rights, I think. And just don't tell them that I suggested this, although I'll be on video now that I am. But I seriously think a lot of feminist rights should be learned out from this precedent, because finally what it is about is the male society, male patriarchal society, and its decisions. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, they are righteous, they are right, they are equal. If they are equal, then they are equal for everything else also, no? If they are equal for the land, then why are they not equal for other things? Maybe they are. See, a lot of, unfortunately, reform rabbis and conservative rabbis may be learning from here, and instead of taking the right channel of going to a proper setting up a proper beddin, or setting up a Sanhedrin to include these things, they are, because poskim are fixed in a loop. They cannot recreate halakha. So we will have to wait for the Sanhedrin to happen. But you can start making your requests.
But there is
Women should be taught Torah. Women should be in a position, because if the woman of a society is removed from the shackles of patriarchal stupidity and culture, then that society has growth. They are more sensitive, they are more spiritual, and that is what, yes, there is raw energy over there. That is how the Hachamim understand it, that they're too raw. The energy in a feminine is too much to sort of house it and frame it in the Torah laws. They are going to manipulate the laws. That is the fear they have.
Men cannot handle women.
What?
They can handle the women when she comes from the side of Binah. Her thoughts take her for different places. A man is
Hello. If these 5 women are coming from the side of Bina when they were given this land,
yes, but
they were, no. So if they were
there's-
given land, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu can bend backwards and say that they
we are
were right,
talking about land.
because they are claiming a take in a patriarchal society, then even they are coming from Bina, you find a way how to curb it. You find a way how to tackle it. But if the woman is ready for being equal to men, then you have to rethink their position in
The
society.
men
That
are
is
not,
what I'm saying. It
but
has to be rethought on the basis that the Torah goes out of the way to bring a story and tell you that there is precedent that Hakadosh Baruch Hu listened to women. Okay,
but
if this precedent was not there, I would not have opened my mouth.
I know,
But
but
if the Torah went out of the way to say that yes, they were from Bina and they are equal to men, yes, also the Torah found a way that they have to marry their cousins, right? So it gave them that permission, but also gave them a framework. Similarly, we have to give them their rightful position, but also find a framework. That is
But-
what I humbly think. I am not a posek, so don't take me for halakha. This
I know,
is
but
something I suggest. Tomorrow, if Hakadosh Baruch Hu will give me the opportunity to set up a Sanhedrin, this will be my suggestion to the Sanhedrin. That I can
you can take
for sure vouch for.
דבורה הנביאה. Yes, she was שופטת.
Was she counted in the minyan?
I don't know, but
No, she was not. She was
She was
not, because at that time the Sanhedrin ruled against it. Okay,
Yeah.
so she was not. We know she was not. None
Yeah.
of the. But in principle, see, there is a school of thought who think that in a woman all the Sefirot are active. So she doesn't need 10 to complete a whole. She can probably by herself read the Kaddish. I don't know. But somebody has to take a call. If you say this, then can she say the Kaddish by herself? That is the question. Can she say the Chazara by herself? These are the questions that need to be asked. Anyway,
the woman
that
is
is a controversial topic. Please do not pull me into it. But I am just sharing that I believe that there is ground rule in the Torah telling us, hinting us that at a future time, woman will have to be empowered, and Torah allows for it. Okay, so that is another final decision by Moshe Rabbeinu that is brought into the Torah. I mean, there must have been so many other stories that must have happened that he has not brought on. But here he thinks that this is important. Why? Because it is a precedent for future generations. Coming down to a final discussion. Am Israel was gifted the land of Israel. Am Israel was gifted the land of Israel. And two tribes, Reuben and Gad, decided, oh, we don't want the land of Israel. We want this pasture land which is on the other side of Jordan. Right? For Moshe Rabbeinu, that was a very difficult thing. Right? He, as a leader, you see, even in that story, you see the growth of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, at some point, Hakadosh Baruch Hu told him, don't hit the rock, speak to the rock. Right? The growth of Moshe Rabbeinu is seen in this story, I think, but that is not what I want to underline, but it is important to understand how even a prophet grows till the very last point in his life. He is 120 at this point. He is going to celebrate his 120th birthday in a month's time, right? And there, these people come and speak against the whole idea. That the idea is that the land of Israel has a special kedusha, has a special sanctity, and Hashem is bringing you into the land of Israel. That has been promised to them, the land of your forefathers, the land that Abraham searched, came from wherever he came from, Ur HaKasdim, searching for this land, and then he travels around the land, and that whole land where Ishaq was forbidden to leave the land, right? That special land. And these guys are saying, no, we want a land, a little outskirts, it looks much greener. How is Moshe going to respond to this? If you look at the old Moshe, he would have given them a stick. He would have said, what nonsense. This is the land which is special. All this is nonsense. All this is not good for you. And that is how he's telling them. But he doesn't say in those words. Moshe Rabbeinu opens his heart and tells them, see. He has a discussion, open discussion. The frontal kind of leader Moshe was, he could have always crushed this down. Finished. What nonsense. Last time they wanted to set up something outside land of Israel, as I had discussed, the 12 spies. We lost 40 years. And that's exactly what Moshe Rabbeinu was saying. You remember I had brought this episode when we were studying that. Don't do this, because you are going to somehow set up a very bad example for the whole Am Israel, for the other 10 tribes. And they will also want ready-made land over here, right? Moshe Rabbeinu explains to them that your action is going to cause a lot of pain. Your action could even cause anarchy. Your action could cause us another 40 years. Forget 40 years. The first time it was 40 years. Now we could even miss the boat. Hashem could get so angry that he says, forget it. I'm not bringing you into the land of Israel. So he explains that to them. You should read that whole thing. Moshe Rabbeinu, as the leader he could have crushed them down. Forget it. No doing, nothing like that. He could have. But he sort of opens his cards in front of them. There is Vaigash. The word Vaigash, Vaigashu, is used when Yehuda comes to Yosef, tries to speak for Binyamin. Vaigash is a very sensitive word in the Torah. So Vaigashu is they come with all their sensitivity. They come together, not in conflict, but they come connecting with Moshe Rabbeinu and explaining it to them. You know what? What we would like is, we don't want this aftermath, what you're saying. We will take care of that. We will be on the front lines. We will go and make war for our brethren. We will take the responsibility to go ahead as the frontline soldiers. Only after every tribe has got the land, and we won't take land over there, so they will get more land in Israel. Only then we will come back and settle it. They are taking a responsibility to make war for everybody. Moshe Rabbeinu understands this. Then he goes to Am Israel, and then he doesn't speak to them like he spoke to these two tribes. He tells them, you know what? If these tribes go on the forefront and they are willing to be the first line soldiers for Am Israel, then I want you to give them a word that till the last tribe has inherited their property, only then they will be able to inherit the land outskirts of Israel on the other sides of the Jordan. So again, you see the whole principle of the Torah that Am Israel on this side of the Jordan is holy, is expanded by Moshe Rabbeinu. There is a certain personal interest which is accommodated by Moshe Rabbeinu by taking them to task, he tells them exactly what is what, and they are willing to take the responsibility. He understands that their motive is not to run away from responsibility. They are in fact taking more responsibility by going in the front lines. Once that is clarified, then he is willing to even expand the borders of Israel. And for me, what does it, finally, the idea is, see, when you are having personal interests, right, and they are against, to some extent, what is accepted norms. Right? Accepted norms was Am Israel is on the west of Jordan. But if you are willing to tackle with it and deal with it peacefully, and there is a Masa Matan, there is a discussion, understanding of each other's views, then Torah is really allowing itself to expand its borders. So all these stories tell you about human interests, to be a human, anger, property, land, inheritance, they're all very personal and very selfish motives. But the Torah allows all of them to be included when you have the right prism to look at things. Because Torah is not about taking yourself away from living day-to-day life. You see, Moshe Rabbeinu, in a certain way, the political language he uses, with them he is saying one thing, but when he comes to the 10 tribes, he uses a different language. He doesn't paint the picture, you know what, they have requested for this land and I am willing to give it to them if they will take. No. He tells them a different story, a story they will want to hear, a story where he basically takes a spin on the reality. He says, these guys, I have asked them to go in the front lines. The reward they will come back with for being on the front lines is this piece of property. When Moshe puts it like that, it is also acceptable to the other 10 tribes, right? So he knows politics so well, how to handle it, how to do these dealings, right? Is it kosher? Totally. So you have to understand that Torah is about how to utilize the Torah principles in your day-to-day life. When daughters of Slofchad came to Moshe Rabbeinu and asked for, Moshe, you think could have, I mean, as a prophet he could have, but as a leader, could he have separated? What is their interest? Is it their father's heritage or is it their interest in property? Does he know how to differentiate without being a prophet? No. And he doesn't even do that. He just goes to Hashem and says what to do. They have a question. Why? The Torah will have an answer. Because this is something very patriarchal society. I mean, you can just imagine 3,500 years ago, anybody talking like that. That is the highest level of praise for Torah. That it tells us that it is so expansive, that it can think for the rights of women. When even in today's time, you see movies coming out, you know, what was it? The Bullseye or whatever. Santyak. Have you seen that movie? Yeah. Those women are still slaves in India. Slaves. That is what they are. 3,500 years ago, our Torah is for reform. Just imagine. And all that is about life. That is what we are all about. We have to change this world, bringing the world from physicality to spirituality. All these are episodes in the life of Torah, that in the life of the nation, nascent, as yet not started, but they have started living the Torah and how it has to be lived. That is the principles that these stories bring. Unfortunately, because I was supposed to work on 3 parashiyot, it just worked out so that I was supposed to do Pinhas and Messei and Mattot. We have all these stories, all one after the other, telling us how the day-to-day involvement of Torah changes our lives and how we can reform our lives and grow. Principally, these are drives that we have. Personal drives, anger, personal gain, property, where we see even the king's position, king's responsibility. All these under the lens of the Torah and how the Torah looks at these stories. Thank you very much. So we finished the book of Bamidbar this Shabbat, and next week we'll start Devarim. Please, any questions?
We know that a woman is higher than a man, but that's why a man needs a woman.
But the men should understand that, no, if the woman, they are banging their own drum, that doesn't help much.
Yeah,
When will the men come to know about that?
the
That
only
is the
thing a woman has is ego.
Everybody has that. That is
Yeah.
a consequence of the fruit. that cannot be. I mean, that is what we are working with, and that is why we are here. We have to repair that. Yeah.
Yeah, but now we are in the age when most of the women are fixed from the ego, and now they're building yourself up again to
I don't
become.
understand all that. I understand when I speak with women, I understand they have the same kind of ego that a man has. Nothing different. Okay. So all what you're telling me, I can't see it in the psychology of men and women
In
differently.
the beginning, when
So
Chava,
then maybe they are building whatever they are building in some imaginary world. In reality, everybody has this problem called ego, and we have to deal with it. So I don't differentiate between men and women in that. And because I don't differentiate between their challenges, I should not differentiate them between doing this sort and other things also.
yeah, but there is a thought that Hanachash, the snake, okay, Yetzer Hara, when he came to Chava, he wanted to control her because the Shekhinah was with her. He wanted to use her energy, use all the.
Yeah, that's why he came to her. I'll give that.
And when
He was sure that he will be able to convince her than Adam. That is for sure.
Yeah, but he wanted to control, and that's what they do. And men, because they fell down and they needed to control. So until now, women were controlled, were not respected. But the
What do you
Torah,
mean men fell down? What do you mean by men
the
fell
men
down?
fell down because history says and shows how men treated women as like a piece of garbage, using them in every way. They cannot bring their head up. They cannot speak. They cannot do. They have only to.
And you are saying that the woman didn't manipulate men because of their sexuality. Woman didn't
Of course,
manipulate men
there
because
are
of
some who try
their
to survive.
sensitivity. Everything
Of course.
everything happened. The men had bronze, so they mistreated women, and women had brains, so and other gifts, so she mistreated men. Don't worry, everything is in balance in this world.
I'm talking about the big picture. Okay, the small picture, there were
In the
survivors.
big picture, I am saying either way, it was both ways. No, it was both ways. Till you don't get out of that mindset of selfishness,
Yeah,
you
but
will. Why do you think in the non-religious world, women are clad so skimpily? They know what powers they have over men. They use it very, very, very wisely.
but
Yeah.
not only that. I'm
So it
talking.
is no, but I'm just saying all that is from a drive for control. Even men controlled women because of their brawn, and women also controlled men because of their brains. So
Yeah, but
everywhere, everything has some kind of a balance.
who
Hashem knows how to
But
keep us in our cycles. You see, but
yes,
anyway, that I agree with you. There is some way that we have to redeem ourselves from this particular situation of ours after eating the fruit, and let's hope it happens soon.
so it's for this parashat that we're reading, Bil'am, he was giving Balak the thought of using his women, his daughter, to send her to sin with the Bnei Israel, to make her prostitute. And that's what he did, because they were not going by themselves. They were
What are you trying to say? I don't understand. So he did send. That is fine. So
men used women in every aspect. In every aspect.
what?
There were men used to use women in every aspect. Whatever they wanted,
So you're saying their daughters didn't want to go. They were not interested. They were forced to go. Okay, could be.
yeah. But once they started, you open a Pandora case and everything goes out. But now I think we're in a different area. We are in a place where women are more stable with the thoughts, and men understand the value of cherishing a woman and listening to her and becoming one. And once we become one, when we get married, and we get some from the men, which is from the wisdom, and they get some from the women, which is the bina, and from that we become one. And that's how we grow together, because they're supposed to be one. They're not supposed to go and looking everywhere, somewhere else and in other grass that is green.
True, true. Thank you very much.
Thank
Any
you.
other
Just something
questioners?
else. Just something else, a different, not connected to what you were talking about.
100%. Yeah, go ahead. Lal.
Talking about the tribe of Moab and the tribe of the Ammonites, which were
Ammonites.
from the two children of
Lot.
daughters of Lot.
Yes.
I don't think there was any much of a conflict between the Israelites and these until way down in history. And it may have something to do with the fact of the story of Lot, where he was willing to give up these daughters to save the agent, the angels who came to his house.
Okay.
So it might be, like a kind of protection that these tribes had because they were there from these daughters. Even though it was a wrong act which they did, but it was still descendants of Lot.
Yeah.
That is my point of view, is that they were kind of protected by God.
Mm-hmm.
No, they were protected. That is for sure clearly mentioned. But not only Lot, even Ishmael's family, Esau's family,
Yeah.
not Ishmael, Esau's family, Adom, we were forbidden to make war with them. Right?
Right.
So then these families, which were the initial families of Abraham, were expected for us to respect their tribal land, and they were gifted to them, and they will live there. That was expected,
So,
at least time.
that was the reason. It was the reason that Israel went. They went against war against the Midianites, but not against the Moabs. When you come to
Right.
this story, because they were
And
not
that is
allowed
what-
to go to war
that
against
is
the
what-
Moabs.
That is what a lot of commentators do say, that it is just because they were Lot's family. So, but my question is, if they did Zenut and they did Zenut, why is one family allowed just because you are cousins and the other family is not allowed, when you are also cousins? Midian was also sons. They're stepsons of Abraham Avinu. That is not very far. So why one accepted and one forbidden? That is then
No, that's what I'm saying,
not
is
answered.
because these girls' father was willing to send
I
them
hear you.
as
Right. So here they have a
to save
Zenut because
to
they were
save the
willing.
angels.
Lot
They were
went
willing,
out of the way to
to
save
go into it to try and save the
Nice,
angels,
nice. Yeah.
which doesn't
I
apply
hear
to the other side of the family.
you. True. Okay, Sinora, I guess everybody, and no more questions, we can call it a day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.